welcome to Third Shot Podcast. Got Uncle Greg and I here again to share with you some exciting news. But before we get into it, go ahead and follow us on one of our social media platforms. We're on Instagram and Facebook at Third Shot Podcast or on X at Third Shot Pod. You can also check out our website, thirdshotpodcast.com, where you can catch up on all of our previous episodes, check out some articles, and just follow along. Leave us some comments. We love all of the interactions.
We
You
do.
ready to kick this off with our traditional shot? First shot on
First
Third Shot.
shot. Cheers.
Cheers.
Also known as the serve. Oh, that was good.
Mm-hmm.
So I have news.
You were saying yes, and I still don't know what that news is, so I've
You don't know.
been waiting.
As you remember, we had Roger Lee on a few episodes ago, and he's the instructor over at the Bay Club.
Yes.
And I joined the Bay Club. Yay. As a result of Roger
Congratulations.
being on the show and really enjoying him, and I got to know him a little bit more after the show. A bunch of people that I play pickleball with also joined. So they go, Greg, you got to join. And the courts are so beautiful there. There's 8
Are
brand
they?
new courts, all lit. I just, it's so cool. They have different Dinkin drinks. Roger does clinics. There's another instructor there. Her name is T. I've played with her. She's actually friends with Joy, who you know. They play together all the time, and I played with her a couple of times. So it all just kind of made sense, right? All the signs are saying I should
Yes.
join, and they had this deal where if you join now, they have this bundle where you actually get to go to 4 different of the Bay Club locations,
Oh, wow.
and you have access to everything except for the golf course at Crow Canyon. That's the only thing you don't have access to, but you can do the tennis, you could do the pickleball, you could do the gym, all the classes, the swimming pools, and, one of the things that hooked me, and I was thinking of you, was at 2 of the locations, there's a recovery room.
I knew you were going to say that.
And I was thinking of you, I go, "Oh, I gotta get Brigie up here so she could try the recovery room with me."
Yes. Are you allowed guests?
Yeah, every quarter you're allowed some guests,
Oh
and
my
so
gosh.
definitely when you come up, we're gonna get you in. But I did it. It was felt great.
It felt good.
It felt great.
What type of recovery equipment do they have?
So they have massage chairs, which you
Okay.
kind of lay back and recline in, and it's water massage, right? So it's
Ooh.
super powerful water jets just pounding you, and it kind of moves along your spine from your neck down to your feet and back up again. You can kind of concentrate it in a problem area, like if you have a problem in your back or your leg or whatever, you can just have it stop in that one spot. Very, very relaxing. Super, super cool. So I love that. Then they have the cryo chair,
Oh,
which
you
is
love that.
the cryotherapy. Yes. Yes. So again, it's another chair you recline in. You can focus where you want it the way it works is like 4 different spots on your body is going to be cold, and then 3 spots on your body is going to be warm, and you get to
Oh,
pick and choose that, and then you can switch it at any point as well too. So what they recommend is do like it's 15-minute sessions, so do like 10 or 8 or 10 minutes cold in the real problem spots, and then switch it, and then do another 5 or 6 cold in the other spots, so you get the little best of both worlds, heat and cold.
yeah.
So that I absolutely love. And then they also have the, compression sleeves that you can put on your before I forget, the cryo chair also has a manual sleeve that you can put on any part of your body, because when you're laying back in the chair, it's just getting the backside of your body, right?
Yeah.
And I wanted to get some more concentration on the front of my shoulder, my rotator cuff area.
Right. Yeah, you need it
So
there.
you just Velcro the sleeve around your problem area on the front of your body, and you get the cryo on it. You get the cold.
That's awesome.
So I like that part of it. And then the last part is the compression sleeves where you could put them on your legs and just, the air compression
Yeah,
really presses it in and gets you all that. Oh. So literally, it's 15 minutes each. So you could spend 45 minutes in there just working on the body, feeling good after you play or after a workout.
totally.
I love it. I love it.
So
That's
have
my
you
favorite.
gotten to try all 3 of the different treatments?
I have not done the compression sleeve yet.
Okay.
I did the other
So
one.
massage chair and cryo. Out of the 2, which one would you recommend the highest?
Ooh, I'm a big cryo fan.
I thought you might say that because way back on the other episodes when we talked about different treatments for after pickleball or just after exercise in general, you loved the cryotherapy
I did. I really loved it,
and you
and
still love
I maybe even more now that I've tried it more often. So usually after I play pickleball, especially if I have, like, a pretty good, like, 3-hour session or whatever, right?
it.
I'll
Hmm.
come home and I walk the stairs, go up the stairs, and, like, my knees kinda hurt, for
Yeah,
a day, they kinda hurt going up the stairs, going down also. But after I did this, I kinda,
you're
like I
fine.
took a few steps up the stairs and I'm going, "What's different? Oh, I don't hurt."
Whoa, that's pretty good then.
Yeah.
So you have a new club and you also get the health benefits of the treatment afterwards. So
Yes.
I do have to ask though, because I know that you were part of a club
Mhm.
beforehand.
Mhm.
Did
Mhm.
you trade in for this new club or are you a part of like 5 clubs now?
Yeah,
Just
5.
add it on.
I just added on. I just went +4.
Yeah.
Yeah, I added on, so I didn't leave the other club. And
Okay.
it's interesting because each night, pickleball-wise, there's something going on, right? Monday nights, Tuesday night, Wednesday, every
Yeah.
between the different clubs, there's something going on almost every night or every morning. A lot
How
of times
fun.
people play mornings. I typically don't until weekends, but
Mhm.
yeah. If I wanted to get my pickleball fix in, there's something going on every single day. So when you come up, no matter what day you come up, no matter how long you stay,
Yes.
we have something going on every day.
Oh, I can't wait. You're so fortunate that there's so many clubs close by and they're beautiful too because now it's at your disposal. You just pick up your phone, see where the people are playing and then you have access to it. That's great.
Yeah, yeah, and all of them have the app, right? So you can kinda figure out what's going on. You can reserve courts if you wanted to reserve courts. You can, yeah, do whatever you want. And
How
then
cool.
the group that I play with, they're all figuring out having their own little tournaments. Like, they're organizing their own tournaments on certain days, like, "Oh, we're gonna do a round robin on this day, we're gonna do a ladder on this night," and all this kinda stuff. I'm like, "Yeah, let's go."
Yeah. Sign me up.
Yeah. So, like I said, every week there's something going on to, gets our competitive juices flowing.
Yes, I mean that's what we love about pickleball, right? Is the competition and just being around people, the socializing aspect, and I think that's what really keeps everybody coming back for it.
It really does, and I'm meeting a whole bunch of new people, right? Being introduced
Hmm.
to new pickleball players I've never played with, and at the Bay Club Crow Canyon, who I played the most with so far, super nice people. And along with our, third shot theme, last night, I have to say a special thank you to James and his wife Diane because they brought out some cocktails and we were drinking some sangrias and it was like 90 degrees when we started playing at like 5 o'clock. So, oh, so refreshing. Lau, another player that I played with, she brought some fresh watermelon out there. Oh my gosh, yes.
How fun! Y'all are living it up over there.
We it was nice.
I
And
love
the
that.
club actually had Taco Tuesday going
Oh my
on.
gosh!
So all you can eat tacos. Oh my gosh,
How
yes.
many could you eat?
I didn't eat last night, but how many could I eat? Uh, I think we're reaching double digits.
Oh my goodness! We'll have to put that to the test when you come out here.
Okay, let's go. We're gonna which one do we go into? El Gordo?
I think Tacos El Gordo. That's a good spot for those types of street tacos. There's also a really good like they do seafood tacos, so like fish, shrimp, octopus. It's called Baja Mar, and it is so good. It's by the Strat. So,
Oh, okay.
and there's also one kind of like on the southwest side of town, but the
Mhm.
Strat's the original location. It's amazing, and I'll definitely take you there next time.
All right, it's on.
Yeah, they have a Taco Tuesday special.
Then I gotta make sure I stay for Tuesday. Well, if I come down for Thanksgiving, Tuesday will be tacos and Thursday will be our Thanksgiving meal,
Oh, perfect.
right?
Got it all cleaned out.
And then we gotta do chicken at the Chicken and Pickle,
Yes. Yep.
so we got it all figured out.
We're gonna be stuffed.
Well, speaking of food, I don't know if you remember or not, but when I got to do the commentary for the MLP event over at the Hub in Alameda,
Yeah.
the SoCal Hard Eights were in town playing against our Bay Area Breakers, and we all kind of went out to lunch afterwards. And one of the SoCal Hard Eights, Purple Jesus himself, joined us at lunch, and we are lucky enough to be joined by Max Manthou, also known as Purple Jesus, because he's got a brand new book coming out, and I want everybody to learn about his new book. So when we come back, after I pitch our social media and our website, we will have Max Manthou. And in the meantime, while we bring on Max, this gives you an opportunity to go to our website, which is thirdshotpodcast.com. We have cool shirts, we have blogs, we have articles, we have past episodes. Great spot to check out more about Third Shot Podcast. We really appreciate if you go there. And please subscribe on the different platforms, whether it is Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. It'll make sure that you will get all future episodes and get reminded when we have fantastic guests just like Max Manthou, Purple Jesus. Hey, PJ, welcome to Third Shot.
Happy to be here.
Thanks so much for joining us. Before we get into all of our wonderful questions that we have for you, we're going to do a little toast to the Hard Eight.
All right. Yeah. Cheers, Hard
Cheers.
Eights.
Oh, that is a serious drink. What are you drinking there? That's a shot.
That one is actually what I would drink on the court as a Hard Eight. A little electrolyte mix featuring one of my sponsors and company founded by one of my good friends, ex-Husky tennis teammate, Matt Stith. The company's called Volley, Voli.
Oh,
Yeah,
we're going to
so-
have to check that out. Is it
Yeah.
delicious?
Volley Wellness. Yeah, I think it's the best tasting electrolyte mix on the market for sure.
You got to
Yeah.
tell him about us. We may have to, bring him on the show, talk a little bit about that.
Sure. Yeah, he's in Santa Barbara. Well, he's actually in LA. He lives in LA, but he's from Santa Barbara.
Sweet.
All
Yeah.
right. So you did mention Huskies, which is the mascot of the University of Washington, and we've heard that you've had quite the tennis career there. Can you share with us and our guests or our listeners how your tennis career went and kind of what your background is with that?
Well, yeah, I was the first person in my family to play tennis. It's kind of a long story, but I almost drowned when I was like 5 years old, and so then
Wow.
my parents put me in a swim club the following summer, and it was a swim and tennis club. So tennis just happened to be there, and little did I know, like I was like the only kid who couldn't float in the class because I hated being in the pool. But then tennis became my life, and I just never stopped. So I did play basketball a lot growing up, and all through high school. Ended up captaining my senior year team, and that was great because it kept me from burnout in tennis, which afflicts so many of us if we were only playing tennis all the time. But yeah, then University of Washington, I stayed home. That's where I'm from. Both my parents are Huskies. My sister's a Husky. I'm a Husky, so I bleed purple and gold. Nowadays, I guess I bleed mostly purple.
Mostly purple. I know they go purple on purple, huh?
Yep. But yeah, I had a wonderful time at University of Washington playing tennis. I loved being in the locker room with so many teammates that were from around the world. I actually think that was it made a bigger impact on me than most, maybe because I think the languages in particular really piqued my interest. I ended up studying languages on my own, going off and spending most of my 20s like outside the US, learning more and, you know, immersing myself in different cultures. But being on a team at UW was fantastic as well. I mean, coming from basketball, like that was kind of my favorite sporting environment. It was being on a team. So finally, you know, tennis can get a little lonely, a little isolating. But the team environment was, so much more fun. I think in pickleball too, the team environment is the best. I had amazing mentors, Coach Matt Anger, Coach Chris Russell, made good friends with Coach Scoville Jenkins as well. So yeah, wonderful time. And that kind of set me up for where I am now, I would say.
Well, it really did set you up because everybody on the pickleball scene knows you as Purple Jesus. And I guess that nickname stems from your days back at UW. Tell us, how did you get that name?
Yeah, so the original name is kind of late college. And that was University of Washington's Purple. And we have, you know, they give you, as an athlete, they give you so much gear. Like I actually still have some of it in bags that I haven't opened
That
yet.
you've never used.
Wow.
Yeah, I just opened my last shoebox this year. So
Wow.
that is about 9 years later. Anyway, so yeah, lots of purple gear. I would be wearing that all the time. Became my favorite color. I had hair down to my belly button, basically, at one point in my life when I was in the Peace Corps. And I don't know, I kind of looked like the stereotypical idea of what Jesus did. And then my favorite movie is The Big Lebowski. And in The Big Lebowski, there's a character, Purple Jesus. He's kind of their villain. He's a bowler. They have a bowling team, and he comes over and talks smack to them, and he's not very nice. So it's kind of ironic. And he's my favorite character. So anyway, those three things kind of coalesced into my nickname. But for pickleball, that was an accident, actually. In the old website, so if you played pickleball, you know, over a year and a half ago, we used to use pickleballtournaments.com. And on there, in your profile, when you registered for a tournament, they had a nickname space. And so in my first event, I mean, when I made my profile, I put Purple Jesus, just thinking it would never be seen by anyone ever. And then I show up to my first event, and they're calling Purple Jesus on the loudspeaker to report to court, you know, and like I was shocked, and everyone thought it was funny. And yeah, because they give you no indication online. If you put something in the nickname spot, it'll replace your name completely. Like that was not indicated. So I didn't know, and it just kind of happened. And then it became something that was funny, and I stuck with it. It started as an accident, but now it's sort of an identity. And I'm a bit allergic to self-promotion, so it helps me a little bit on that as well.
I love that story. That's hilarious. Did you know when they were saying Purple Jesus, were you like, wait a second, that's me?
I knew immediately it was me. I mean, but I was definitely in a state of shock. Like I couldn't believe, like suddenly I was competing as Purple Jesus. Like, you know, it fits though. I mean, pickleballs can be a little silly, so I don't feel it. Yeah,
that's awesome. So at what point did you transition from playing tennis to picking up a pickleball paddle and kind of setting off on that career?
Yeah. So I actually left US. I joined the Peace Corps. I served in Indonesia for several years. And when I was there, I played a lot of badminton. That's kind of their national sport. So I didn't play tennis at all. And pickleball wasn't a thing yet. And I come home, I see a commercial for Pickleball Central when I was watching the Seahawks game. And I kind of blew my mind because before I left, pickleball it was just a backyard sport. So to see that it had grown so much in just like the 3 years I was gone was pretty crazy. And then like a week after that, I had a very good friend, Zach Ayat, invite me to come play with him. I came to an LA Fitness. We played indoors on a basketball court. I had a good friend now, but a person I had just met who was in his 60s, Glenn Peterson, completely kicked my ass, which was huge for me because I mean, at that time I was in the peak of my like athletic age. And, you know, as an top 1,000 or so tennis player, I really couldn't imagine how that was possible, but this guy just destroyed me the whole day for 3 hours, and it really motivated me to stay in the sport, because I figured that there was something special there. If that large of an age gap could make, seemingly didn't make a difference.
I'm glad you said that because I'm approaching that 60 age, and I just hope someday I can be somebody your age, but it hasn't happened yet.
No,
It's
keep it up.
it's okay. I'm trying. Maybe you need to give me a few tips because
Well, the shot that he hit was below the net, backhand flick speed up that kind of just swerved over the net, and it made me squeal and go, I didn't know what was happening. So if you can master that one.
okay. I'm gonna practice that shot. It's funny because you mentioned you were kind of at the peak of your athletic, age at that
Yeah.
point. When I met you in person for the first time, you were playing with the Hard Ace, and you were at that event at the Hub, and I see your shirt. Show off your Hub shirt there.
Let's go.
Sweet.
Let's go, Hub.
Yeah. You were at the Hub, and the one thing that just stood out, right? Jesse and I were doing the commentary, and like your athleticism was just insane. Like, you were just moving on the court so well. I could only imagine what you were like a few years ago. Holy cow, you're like so fast then.
Well, thank you. I'm actually a little surprised as well. There's sorry, one second. A lot of times I feel like I'm more athletic now than I used to be, and I don't really know why that is. I think it might be that pickleball, it suits my body better, or the structure of the game somehow brings out the better side of me more often. Could also be that I've spent a lot of time playing other sports. So after I played basketball and tennis, like I said, I played a ton of badminton. I also played table tennis for about a year for my master's school. And I don't know, I think maybe the different types of motions that I got used to in different type of racket sports coalesced somehow in this new athletic being that I am. And I'm sometimes I'll do things and I actually find that I didn't know I could do that. So it's pretty sweet. I mean, pickleball is I'm still, I'm 32 now, but I'm still discovering things about myself, and pickleball is helping me with that.
It is so impressive watching you on the court. It really is. I've seen a lot of pickleball in person, on television or whatever. You move and cover the court extremely well. It amazes me every time I watch you. I'm like just drooling. I'm like, gosh, can I be Purple Jesus, please? Just one day of my life, I want to try.
Well, I appreciate it.
So what's it like playing with the SoCal Hard Ace in that team pickleball environment?
So it's the first team I've been on. Just in general, being on the team is amazing. I feel like pickleball should go in that direction in general. But I've never been on another team, so I don't know what others are like. And I think that I might be very, very lucky right now. The chemistry on our team seems unmatched, and our ownership group could be the best in either league. So I hope I know I have something good, and I won't know until if I ever have to play out for someone else later. I'll be able to compare. But I'm extremely grateful for the position I'm in now. And so shout out to Rick Chan and Tim Parks, two of our owners, and all how well they take care of us, and then my partner Eric Lang. I mean, he's been I feel like I've known him for 20 years, and we just met in about March. And then our two women, and Irina Tereshchenko and Yana Newell, and then Christine Maddox before, all three of them superb individuals and great players. So I'm really blessed.
Yeah, it was fun getting to know all of you at lunch, and everybody was there. We were all joking around, and it was fun getting to know Eric. He's gosh, what a personality! And Eric, he's been in the game for a little bit, and you guys have had a lot of success together. Both in MLP as well as outside, playing a lot of tournaments. And one of the cool things that I learned was that you guys won over at the English Open. And I was curious, what was it like playing over in England, and what's pickleball like in England? It seems like it's a sport that's really growing over there.
Oh yeah, I mean pickleball in Europe has to compete a little bit with padel, which is rising at the same time, really strong in Europe. But I loved that trip. Like I used to be a kind of a world traveler, and I missed that a little bit. So being able to play pickleball for the first time outside the U.S. Was a great experience. I hope to do more of that. I think there will be more opportunities next year as well. But then, yeah, the pickleball scene, everyone there was so nice for one, and two, so enthusiastic, which I guess doesn't surprise me because I see that enthusiasm here in the States too. But they love pickleball, the people that were there, and there were over 2,000 participants in the tournament. It was I think it was the second or third biggest event that I know of. So the actual setup of everything, it kind of felt like, they're a few years maybe behind. They don't quite have the infrastructure yet. And I think like places to play and that kind of thing. The pickle roll, there was a few issues, but I mean, so it felt like maybe we took a time machine to a few years back. But other than that, I mean, I just had a wonderful experience, and I thank everyone who made that event come together.
Well, again, congratulations on your success there. That's huge. And another congratulations because you have a book that's coming out that we want to get into and ask some questions on. And that's called the Pickleball Gospel.
Yeah.
And it's coming out very soon. So tell us, what inspired you to write this book?
So I want to be an anthropologist in my life at some point. So I went to my grad school at Illinois State for my master's in anthropology. And in my second year, when I had to write a thesis, I had to come up with an idea, and pickleball was booming. And what do I know better in my life than racket sports? So I ended up writing my master's thesis on pickleball in anthropology. And then this past year after I graduated, I've worked with a publisher, Made for Success Publishing. And they have been wonderful in helping me adapt the original thesis into something that's a little bit more, readable for public audience.
So when people read the book, what can they expect? Are we talking about your tournaments? Are we talking about your growth in the game? What are people going to learn and enjoy in a pickleball journey?
Yeah,
Pickleball Gospel, excuse me.
A Pickleball Gospel, yeah. Shout out to my friend Mike Enright for helping me come up with that name. But that's a trickier question to answer than I wish it was. So it started as a thesis, so there's an academic part current to it that runs throughout. But I've changed some of the language and moved things around and added new things so that it's a little bit more readable. But first of all, it's an anthropology book. Anthropology, not everyone knows what that is. So I was a sociology undergrad, and in sociology, a very similar field of study, sociologists tend to look at society through big data sets, big aggregates. They take big observations. And so I see that as kind of looking at the beach and then ultimately trying to say something about the grain of sand. So look at society and try to say something about the individual. Anthropology is sort of the opposite of that. In my opinion, I'm grossly simplifying things, of course, but anthropologists tend to spend a lot of time with like a small subgroup or subculture, or even a couple people. It could be in the old days, it was like a tribe, perhaps in the Amazon or Papua New Guinea or somewhere. And then so that would be kind of like looking at the grain of sand, and then you try to say something after your experience about the beach. So that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm spending a lot of time in pickleball spaces. I spent for the research, I spent 8 months basically going everywhere pickleball was played, parks, churches, barns, backyards, local tournaments, regional tournaments, pro tournaments. And then I try to bottle that experience in the book and put it on the page. And so for readers who have never played pickleball, it's supposed to give a presentation of the pickleball community, of pickleball culture to the reader, so that they can understand, the basics of what's going on, more than not just like rules and how to play, but really what it feels like to be in the community. And then for people who have read it, people who have played pickleball, hopefully it'll confirm perhaps a lot of the experiences that they've had. And it'll probably be a running dialogue in their mind with what's on the page. Like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Or, oh, that's different than when I experienced, or maybe, even there'll be ideas in there that make them think differently about things that they hadn't thought about yet, or, their own experience in pickleball. So it can kind of work for both audiences. The way that it's presented is there are three perspectives. Since I am a pickleball player, I do speak from the eye perspective, from my own eyes. In almost every chapter, it starts with like a vignette, and those vignettes are from my perspective, and it recounts some sort of experience that I had that's topical for that chapter. An important chapter at the end recounts my experience playing at the APP Daytona Beach in singles, where I had to play 12 matches in 12 hours in one day. So that entire chapter is recounting everything I was thinking about the night before, the whole day that was happening. I think I was pretty lucky to have ended my research on such a honestly transcendental experience. So yeah, that's a full chapter, and then another chapter just to analyze that experience. But then there's all in the middle of chapters, after I talk about my experience, I give more of a third person, voice of God narration of different observations that I've seen about pickleball. And then sprinkled all throughout all of that are interviewee responses. So I interviewed 13 avid pickleball players, and also included snippets from like all the other people that I was in contact with constantly that, impacted my journey. And so I'll make an observation, then I'll also try to supplement that with, people saying something similar or that goes with whatever the observation is. So yeah, there's a real mix of perspectives. And at the end of the day, I hope that the reader just won't be bored, and they'll think about pickleball differently, perhaps. And then I guess at the very end, I should probably say, in anthropology, we like to describe a subculture, a sub-community, and show that community through terms that make sense to them, but also make sense to outsiders. But on top of that, pickleball is really just a vehicle for a larger argument that I try to make about sports. You try to say something about the beach, like I said earlier. And so running through that everything I just said, running through the book is an argument about sport that I say that it's a non-zero sum game. So what that means is oftentimes we think about sport in zero sum terms, meaning there are winners and losers. And so if you win, necessarily that means that someone must lose, and I guess plus minus, and so the net gain, the net benefit is zero. And that's oftentimes I think how we think about sports, but I argue strongly that sport isn't that way. It's non-zero sum, and the primary mechanism for that is a word that I kind of made up, sort of. I mean, it's been around slightly in other circles, but it's identifying that there's a very high competitive element to pickleball, but also there's a cooperative element to pickleball that I think goes unnoticed often. And so I combine those into a word called coopetition. So coopetition is a very big part of the book as well, talking about that dynamic that's both competitive and cooperative in pickleball, but also in all sport. So sorry, that's a lot of that was a lot I just said.
We love it. I mean, pickleball in general, we love hearing about, but also just from like that sport aspect too. I think that your book has something to offer for everybody. And I couldn't imagine being able to research such a fun topic and going to talk to so many different people. And the theme of culture and community comes up so frequently with, I think, any conversation, whether it's been like on our podcast or just on the courts. And that's a huge part of why people love the sport in general. In your research, though, did you learn anything about yourself as you were kind of reflecting back on those experiences and studying other people's community within pickleball?
Did I learn something about myself? Yes, hopefully many things. I guess I became pretty adept around outside of the U.S. and in my in my travels at making connections with others, usually through different languages or whatever it might be. But I realized that once I got to the U.S., I had a bit of, when I came back home after being gone for so long, I experienced a little bit of reverse culture shock, which is a unusual phenomenon that I wasn't prepared for. And I felt like I might be overstating this, but I felt like I had a slightly harder time connecting with like fellow Americans sometimes. It was so much, it was so easy outside the US.
Why do you think that was?
So I'm not sure. I mean, I got used to a different lifestyle. I think sometimes I get rattled by how plentiful life is here. Whereas before I'm sort of a minimalist. But I'm not exactly sure why. But anyway, when I came home, that's when pickleball came in my life, and so I learned. Well, first of all, I learned about pickleball, and I say this. I say it on I have it on my Instagram. I've said it, I think, in a blurb to the Dink, that a new friend is just a paddle lengths away in pickleball. I feel very, very strongly about that. So I learned that about pickleball, but I learned about myself that I could use this as a way to connect with others in my home country in a way that I don't think I've ever been able to do before. It doesn't. I could just show up at any place pickleball is played, and it's like this magic wand of the pickleball paddle. I can just wave it around and point at somebody, and that could be my new best friend, or just someone that I can make a connection with for that day, or whatever. So it's a pretty thrilling feeling being a part of this game and knowing that I can connect with others, at any time.
Do you see yourself in the future being maybe more of an ambassador for pickleball in other countries?
Yeah, I would love to do that because it would combine traveling with the game. So I feel like I have the personality for it. So yeah, I mean, I don't know what that would mean exactly, but anything that could take me around the world and kind of export the game and give myself chances to meet new people, I'm always down for.
Yeah, I think you would do fantastic. And it kind of pulls all of your passions together into one project. So we'll look forward to that in the future. We'll touch base again on the podcast and get an update of you somewhere in the world.
Well,
Giving lessons
that'll
to
be book
everyone.
number 2, right? Like your
Yeah.
international experience, so that and yeah,
Yeah, very much could be. Yeah, I do want to go back I want to get my doctorate someday. And finish up in anthropology with a degree. So I will have to come up with another, dissertation type focus, and who knows, maybe it could be pickleball around the world.
That would be super amazing. But let's focus on this book that's coming out.
Yeah.
How can people purchase it now that you've done such a great job of explaining what they can look forward to?
Yeah, so it's on Amazon right now. It's available for pre-order. Again, it's called A Pickleball Gospel, and it's written by Purple Jesus. I actually don't use my real name, which is Max for anyone who forgot. Yeah, so it's available there. I think right now that's probably the only space would be online. They can surely contact me as well. Barnes and Noble probably is another place. Yeah.
Nice. Well, before we let you go, let's take our third shot.
Okay.
To a Pickleball Gospel and your future.
Cheers. All right. Cheers.
Oh, before you drink that, what is that?
Yeah. So this is, I was alerted to the fact that Purple Jesus is a drink, or used to be a drink in like the 80s. So I have concocted it. It has a couple of different recipes, but this is grape juice, ginger ale, and vodka.
Ooh.
Purple Jesus drink.
The Purple Jesus. I wish I had one.
I know, the Purple Jesus.
What are you drinking?
Cheers.
Cheers. Mine is not as exciting. I'm drinking fresh Proud Source water.
Right on.
I
I
don't
am
drink.
drinking Korean
Oh, is that
soju.
soju. Yeah.
Are you a soju drinker?
Big fan of soju. Yes.
All right.
Yeah, I couldn't
Next
believe
time we
it was
get together, soju is in our future.
right on. I couldn't believe when I was in Seoul, I couldn't believe it was cheaper than water at like most places I was at.
That's what I've
Whoa.
been telling people. It's cheaper than water in Korea.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's there's a definite reason why you see a bunch of drunk people walking the streets of Korea at night. It's because they
Oh
don't
yeah.
drink
Or
water,
in the
they drink
subway,
soju.
older like usually like middle-aged men just like passed out.
Pass out on the street. Just
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
they're just boom.
Right.
It's
It
the
doesn't seem like a
wildest
big
thing.
deal. Yeah, totally. I myself, when I was there, I was also I wasn't too hydrated.
You didn't have the electrolytes drink.
No, not yet.
You didn't have the volley with you at that
Not
time.
volley yet.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Max, for coming on the show. We really enjoyed, getting to know you a little bit better, and then obviously digging into the book. We're excited.
Well, cheers, guys. I've had a great time.
Well, thank you. And thank all of the people listening and watching for joining us. Brigie and I will continue to share our pickleball journey. A special thanks to Max for joining us. Please check out his Instagram, Purple Jesus Pickleball. That is the handle on Instagram. He has great posts there. Definitely go on to Amazon and get a Pickleball Gospel, get on the wait list, and get that in your hands as soon as possible. And then you can support this show by subscribing. We promise to have more guests just like Max on future episodes. Let's continue to share our enjoyment for the game and grow this pickleball community together. See you next time on Third Shot Podcast.